Hello, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are. My name is Maurice Kevenaar. I'm from the automation desk, and we are here together with Jim and Jochen and special guest Jorge. And we will be talking about the uh, Veeam APIs in combination with Grafana. As you all know, the automation desk is a fairly new group over at the Veeam Community Hub, and we are creating a lot of events, and we even have a talk at the Veeam On later this year, end of May. If not registered, please register now and join our session. I will give the word to Jochen and Jorge and take it away. If you have any questions, please enter them in the chat, and we will try to answer them during the event.
Thanks so much, Maurice. Hello, everyone. So this session today, it's going to be very good. I think it's very special for us because, we have Jochen, right? And he's very keen to learn APIs, all things Veeam APIs. So we were just discussing what will be the best, if just doing it internally and sharing knowledge, or much better, just do a session where he will drive through a few APIs, and then we will. It's very interesting because then we will kind of run our first queries into the APIs, and then we will hopefully at the end we will grab all of that up and visualize information on a very cool system which is called Grafana, right? Which is a free open source tool where you can just visualize all sorts of metrics, really. In this case, Veeam APIs data today. Anything else to add to that, Jochen? All good?
No, I'm looking forward to learn something about the REST API.
Very nice, very nice. We have prepared just to, of course, start from the basics, move more into the mid level of APIs, and then even more. We just need to to move to the basics, and I have prepared here some slides. So let's see if I can share my entire screen one, and hopefully this will work. Yeah, is it working? Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can see the screen.
Perfect. Very nice. So yeah, that's the four of us here on the title. This is the agenda that we will see today, right? So as you can see, very a lot of products of Veeam, each of them with the API. But let's start with a quick introduction, a quick overview of the RESTful API, right? So what is an API, application programming interface? I think we can think of an API as a waitress, and then we have the menu. We would just go there. We have the menu. We select some food onto the menu, and then the waitress takes that order to the kitchen, who prepares for us the food, and the waitress delivers the order back to our table, right? We never go there to the kitchen and request things by ourselves, right? We just do it through the waitress. So that's an API. At the end, we just request some data, the server processes, and then it gets exposed as an endpoint through the API. I can hear some noise. I don't know who is not muted. Then I just wanted to mention quick a world without an API. So a world without an API. Just imagine today you're trying to book some holidays, to go somewhere, and if you were an APIs today, you will need to go to so many different websites, book your flights, book your holidays, then book some tickets, and so on and so forth. But of course, that's not what is happening today, because every modern application, it has APIs. So thanks to the APIs, different websites can talk to with different websites or to different backends, different servers, which exposes some certain data, right? So a world with an API, it's something like this, right? So you are just access, for example, I don't know, Trivago, Booking.com, I don't know, Atrapalo in Spain. I mean, some websites like those, right? And then it does everything for you. It's just looking at flights. It's looking at the same time within the data you select. It's checking for hotels and even some activities, renting a car. It always tells you like, hey, you forgot to rent your car. And all of that, of course, you are just on a central point, central website, which is querying the APIs of so many other systems at the end, right? So that's the real use case of APIs, talking about normal, like a normal use case, like this booking holidays, which is we're in a good time to start booking holidays, right? More basics, yes. REST API just representational states transfer REST, and then well, it's using the standards of an HTTP. So you will see on the next slide what I'm talking about. Everything is a resource or an endpoint, right? You can just query everything, and it's just an endpoint over there. It gives us the HTTP methods, and it's a server client model at the end. So behind an API, what is behind an API? If you will look more into the code, it's always a database, right? So with the data, and then the API just exposing that data that is stored really on the database, but it's exposing that data in a much friendly way. You do not need to do any query or anything weird. You just call the endpoint, and that endpoint is already have the raw data in the way that you're expecting it, right? Yes, usually should be JSON. Yeah, that's the server client model we discussed before. Now, what can we use when we query an API, when we call an API, an endpoint? We usually use HTML verbs. So it's either get with different colors, and you will see these different colors is sort of a standard when you consume APIs through Swagger or other methods to consume APIs. You usually see these colors, right? So it's the get, which is usually a blue, difficult to see on this background color here. The get is just going to give you data, so you just read data out of the endpoint. Sometimes, some of the endpoints, you can do post as well. So for example, we talk about this on the API of Veeam Backup and Replication. You can create backup jobs now directly from the API of the Veeam Backup and Replication server, for example. Or you can as well trigger, for example, an instant VM recovery on the Veeam Backup and Replication API. You need to do a post as well, meaning you ask the endpoint to do something for you, not just getting data, but as well you just post data there. Then is delete, very explanatory, right? That is usually not allowed anywhere, because imagine what the things will be, just deleting data or deleting something. It's usually not supposed to delete it, to be honest, on many APIs, not just Veeam, everywhere. Then the put, it's to update some of the data that it's on, once again, the final database. An example that I have here is for Veeam Backup for Microsoft 365. There is an API where you enable the audit mode. So every time that you restore something of the CEO email or something like that, mailbox, it sends you an email notification, right? So what happens if instead of only enable that audit on the CEO email, you want it as well to extend it to a Teams channel or to a group or to a OneDrive, then you need to modify that the endpoint to add more people into the audit. You will use a put in this case to update the list. So put is always an update of the data that you have. Hopefully that is clear. Any questions so far? Because I cannot see questions, or maybe you, Jochen, is this good for you? What do you think?
There are no questions so far, Jorge.
Very nice, thank you. Jochen, are you following this? All good?
All clear up to now.
Very nice, very nice. We talk about that this is based on HTTP, right? So if you have been using internet for or web browsers for a long time, which I think most of us we have been doing that, you know that, for example, when you go to a website that is doesn't exist or is not there anymore, is an error 404, right? That's very common, the 404. But as well, when you access to a website that it does exist and it does load, really what is happening, what is given to you is an HTTP code 200, which is success. There's so many others, like for example the 300. There is a redirect. So when you go to a website and it redirects to another one using like a rewrite or something, if you were looking in your web browser, you will see that this HTTP is giving you a 300, meaning this website is not here anymore. It's in this other place, etc., etc. And the error that we never like to see, which is the 500, right? You access a website and it's like the 500, which is server error, and it's like, okay, what is this really? What's this error? It's never fun to access a website with a 500 error, and it's not fun to fix that 500 error either. So that is an API is exactly the same. When we are going to do get, post, put, or delete, we do an HTTP verb to the server, and it's going to give us a response based on these codes over here. So what we're looking for is really all the time to get a 200, so it's successful, and so on. Talking with an API, right? It seems like now everyone talks with an AI, but so this is just the same AI, but just adding a P there in the middle, talking with an API. We can do it different ways. Most of the products, including Veeam, they have something called Swagger. So it's usually an extension. It's usually under a port. So you just do colon, the port that we are exposing the API, and then slash Swagger. And usually Swagger is very visual, right? So you get all the endpoints. So for example, restore sessions on this case that you've seen on the screen, backup repositories, and so on, right? Those are the endpoints. And you can log in here on the Swagger and start getting data and doing operations from here. So it's very easy. And this is what I've been using most of the time. When an API does not have Swagger, it for me is a bit more difficult because you need to go somewhere to look at the endpoints and so on. It is really a waste of time. So hopefully you can use Swagger as much as possible because it's everything there and it gets up to date. But you can use other things, like for example, you can use Postman, which is a very common tool to talk with APIs, right? Because it's very simple. It has all the data that we need. And usually they are libraries, for example, for Veeam, Chris Arsenault, who is an API ninja, inside Veeam. He has libraries on the Veeam Hub for most of our products already. So you can just take your Postman, import this collection, these libraries of the products, and everything is there already to talk, to start running commands. Very, very, very nice. And then you can use curl, which is like a Linux daemon or a Linux command that you can just run it within the CLI, and you will get the information directly from the Linux console. That's very nice as well. So we are 15 minutes now. That's good. I'll finish soon. Veeam backup and replication. The first thing that I discussed with Jochen a few days ago is like, okay, that's nice. The information of what's an API, that's great. Now, what are the steps to do something with all the Veeam products, right? So I'm going to mention them very quick. Every slide that I'm going to show now, it's how you do the first login, and then after the login, how you run a common call. So hopefully this will be easy enough to understand. So for example, Veeam backup and replication. You need to go to the HTTPS, then put your Veeam server IP, and then colon 9419, and then /Swagger, and then it will open the Swagger, right? benefits, it has Swagger UI, so that is very, very easy to use. You need to generate an auth token to login, and then login later on the button on the top right, which says auth, and then you just put it there, put bearer, and copy paste the token. We are going to do that with Jochen today, so you will see it. And then first API call. Well, you just scroll on the Swagger, go to, for example, the sessions, which is one of my favorites, right? You want to see the sessions for the Veeam backup and replication, what happened and when, so on. So you just scroll after you log in, you scroll under sessions, click, try it out, execute, and then something like this over here, which is tiny, tiny, small, it will appear, but it will appear full screen, very comfortable to read, and that's already your first API call. So that's congratulations on that. Enterprise Manager. So Enterprise Manager, it is a funny API because it has been with the product for very, very long time, but at the same time does not have Swagger, and it's sort of XML based, and now it supports JSON as well. It's there in the middle. It's not that as attractive as Swagger, but it's very feature rich. So it has a lot of information inside it. How do you go? HTTPS, and then you just go to your enterprise manager FAQDN or IP address 9398/web, and then after that you log in. We are going to do that with Jochen as well, so you will see that how you can log in here and how you can run a few calls there. It is a bit strange, more raw, to say it nicely. And then, yeah, the first API call, one of my favorites API calls from Enterprise Manager. Enterprise Manager is this report summary, for example. That's Enterprise Manager. Veeam Backup for Microsoft 365. Sorry about the mistake here on the name. For Microsoft 365, it's HTTPS, the Vivio server IP FQDN 4443, and then /Swagger. And once again, you log in there and you just run your APIs, your calls that you like. My favorite, once again, job sessions. It's very nice. Just bear in mind that it might not be V4, maybe already like V6 or V7 regarding the API. But because you are using Swagger, doesn't matter because it's going to give you the latest one. Veeam Backup for AWS, very nice product, very powerful. HTTPS, the Veeam Backup for AWS IP or FQDN, and then the port, very strange. Don't ask me. 11,005. I don't know. I think somebody choose that random. And then /Swagger index.html. It has Swagger, which means very simple. We do the login and then we start consuming data. Very, very simple. Veeam Backup for Azure, another very successful product here. More simple. I like simplicity, of course, always. So this is not easy too, of course, because it's an Azure. We'll fix these slides before we send them back to you or before we put them on the community. HTTPS, the Veeam Backup for Azure or IP or FQDN, and then Swagger index. That's on the port, is exposed over the port HTTPS already. So that is more simple to call things here. What is interesting here, just job sessions as per usual. That's one of my favorites, just to get data out of that. Veeam Recovery Orchestrator, the top tier of the data platform. So very nice product. And again, it gave you already so much power on the orchestration part, but it gives you API in the case that you want to get that data somewhere, Grafana, Tableau, or anything that you can think of. You just need to go HTTPS, IP 9899, Swagger index, and it has Swagger, meaning very simple. What's good to get out of Orchestrator? For example, the plans, right? Just to get out how the plans have been running successfully, what are the steps inside, and all of that data, taking that out, sending it somewhere else. Usually it can be very nice plan. And then service provider console. If you're a service provider, 1280, the port, API version 3, and then job sessions as well, one of my favorites. So We are 22 minutes already, so I need to finish this in a few seconds. What do we do with all of this data? This is kind of how you log in on, for example, the VB365. You see, you just need to find the auth or login. Depending on the product, you need to put your username and password, and then you try it out, and it gives you what is called access token, right? You see it over there. So you just need to take the access token, copy paste on the top, put bearer, click explore, and now you are authenticated and you can start doing, for example, any of the endpoints, try it out, and it gives you data. So very, very simple, but we're going to do it with Jochen step by step in a minute. What's great of this API thing, if for now you still don't understand why APIs are so good, gives you so much data, you see, but out of this big data, I don't care much about, I don't know, for example, a retention frequency type, but I do really care. I really want to get the object storage ID, the capacity bytes, and the free space bytes. I want to take that and put it somewhere else. Let's name Tableau, Grafana, InfluxDB, Power BI, whatever you do prefer, right? So in order to take what's the most important for you, I usually do JQ. So JQ is kind of like a JSON query, right? So from a big JSON, which is this format, right? You can just say, okay, just take the object storage ID, the cache path, the capacity bytes, and it gives you the final result that you want, and that is ready to be sent to your final monitoring email or whatever you want. So that is a bit deep dive. So again, we started from the more basic, more into meat here. And then we put this into a bash shell script that we are going to see today. And you can see just that it just runs over that. But all of this, you do not need to do it if you don't want by yourselves, because we have it on the Veeam Hub. So you can just go there, download it. And the only thing you usually need to do is just edit some parameters over here. So with that, I will, this is what I have been doing for years, just kind of grabbing different Veeam products with a bash shell script, taking all of that API products, putting it into InfluxDB, and then I just put all the data in Grafana. That's because I like it, that it is free, and I have it here on my Raspberry Pi. You can always change InfluxDB for some more enterprise thing like Tableau or Power BI, and then consume the information on dashboards, like in Azure, for example, if you want. And with that is Jochen's time now. So hopefully that has been useful, and hopefully Jochen has been paying attention, and now is his time to sign. Can you start sharing your screen, perhaps? Let me see if I can stop mine.
Of course.
Don't know if I have a button. Yeah, okay. How are we? Good for now? Yes. Put some things on the chat if you want, guys. Okay.
Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen. We can see perfectly the TeamViewer, which is very nice. So what do we have here? We have here, if I'm not mistaken, we have here the Veeam Backup and Replication REST API, right? So that is very nice. You have already access over the port 9419, what how we mentioned on the slide deck. So the first thing is going to authorize. Can you refresh the page just in case that is, it has been timed out? Just refresh the page, please. And then you will need to go under login, and then the first, yeah, just to get the token. So that's very nice. Just expand it. Click try it out. And once you click and try it out, you just need to scroll a bit and put your username and password. So
Could you tell me again?
yeah, oh yeah, it will be administrator, the username, yes. And the password, it will be webinar123 with the W in uppercase. It's crazy, yeah? Setting credentials here, but of course, this is just a demo environment, guys. Don't worry about that. And then just scroll till the end, click execute, and let's see what is the result. So if you click execute and scroll, everything that we learned today, scroll a bit more. So we can see, no, it's access denied. So something on the password, it might not be okay. So try again. Oh, administrator, yeah, it needs to be webinar123 with the W uppercase. Let's see once again, scroll a bit down. No, it's telling maybe we put anything wrong on the name, on the password.
Damien said that there is an error in the word administrator.
Yeah, okay.
Administrator,
Thank you, Damien.
Okay, let's run it again. Let's see. We should get the error. Yeah, you see code 200. So it has been successfully. It's good to see errors so that we can see how they're handled. And now please, Jochen, take the access token. So what is between the double quote, yes, until the end, without the double quote on the end. Yeah, copy. And now that we have an access token, you can go up to the screen, please. And you can see there that it says authorize. So you can click on authorize now. And here you need to type bearer with the B in uppercase as well. Bearer, space, and then just paste your access token. When you do scripts, of course, you don't need to do this because you can automate it. Click authorize, please.
Okay. This was a step it is missing from the most documentation.
So, and for that reason, we are here today with you, Jochen, just to show everyone how to do it step by step. And now that you are logged in, now let's scroll. What do you want to see inside your Veeam backup and replication? Perhaps sessions as well. That's a good one. If you want to scroll under sessions, for example. So we should see here, yeah, sessions. Expand the first one. You see that you can see that this is the get with the blue color. And then try it out, please. The button says try it out. And if you now just scroll down, you don't need to add anything here if you don't want any parameter. You can click execute, and let's see how the waitress take the the order and came out from the kitchen. Let's see. Ooh, it came well done. So that's very nice. You see, he's here the session type. So it's a configuration backup over here, which has a warning. What else? It's a job, which is VMware Grafana Linux server. Scroll inside the, yeah, that's very nice. That is very nice. Maybe you can open the VBR console, which is there at the bottom, on the task panel, and compare with the sessions, right? So you can just go under the last 24 hours running or last 24 hour sessions, yes. Success, yeah. And then, well, it's something like we see here, like for example, this file job happening every 30 minutes. We should see it on the API. So perhaps minimize here, and let's see if we can see the API on the API as well. That file level. Keep scrolling, should see it there. Just config backup all the time. We should see them here. That's strange. Perhaps it's just only VMs. This specific API endpoint. But nevertheless, can you maybe scroll and see what else can we show? Maybe repositories. That's a very nice one. So we can see the capacity. Scroll a bit. I think it's down, the backup repository. So what's up? I don't remember. I think it's a bit down. Repositories. Yeah, that's it. Expand the first one, yes. So we will get the repositories. Try it out as per usual. Swagger is very, very simple to use. And now just click at the end, execute, and then hopefully we will get 200 if all works. Let's take a look. Yeah, 200, and we have things here. So as you can see, yeah, we have one repository only, and then it's even on C drive. Very bad. It's just, of course, just for the testing. But if it was immutable with the flag on Linux, it will say here that if it's immutable or not. and after that, you can, of course, imagine the things. It's telling you as well how many concurrent tasks the repository has. So a lot of information that we can later on put into good use. Very nice, Jochen. Anything you want to see on this VBR API, or should we move to the Enterprise Manager, perhaps, API? What do you think?
The access token is valid for 15 minutes? Or
yeah,
how long
it's around
is it valid?
It depends on the product. It's around 15 minutes. You can always refresh the token, or you can get a new token. But yeah, it's around 15 minutes, depending on the product. Sometimes 15, sometimes 30 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes you can change it. Like in one product, I remember you can change it. Perhaps it's in the Bs for cloud. You can extend that time out. So yeah, very nice.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's move to the second tab, I think. Let's go to the Enterprise Manager, perhaps. Oh, sorry. This will be the API. So yeah, so click the second tab. So if you are lost at any point in time, we have something that is called the REST API reference, and they are two interesting things to consume here. One is the REST API reference itself. It might be on the next tab. Can you click on the next browser tab, Jochen, just to take a look what is there? So this is one of the resources. They are called REST API reference maps. The REST API reference maps, they have been built with us in mind, everyone that is here interested into APIs, to do not go into any product and then spend time and hours there until you understand. With these maps, which by the way, they are for every product, so for VB365, the VB Clouds, VBR, and so on, you can get a clear picture of all the endpoints that you can get, right? So you can open this and then say, okay, I'm interested for VBR to get about restores. What's the endpoint? You will clearly see that is the restore over there, or agents and so on, right? It should be a legend, and at the bottom, can you scroll till the end of this PDF, Jochen, perhaps? Should be a legend with the colors. Yeah, you can see there, like what's for login and out, what is for your policies. So you just put the Veeam product you like, API reference, you will get to a website where it's telling you that you have the API reference or the reference map, and the reference map, they are these PDFs. So I found it easy. Perhaps I'm more a visual person, I don't know, but I really like to see this without digging much. Go to the next tab just to take a look.
Nice overview, yes.
Sorry?
It's a really nice overview of the API.
Thanks, Jochen. Hopefully you can use this in the future, of course, for your labs. Let's move to the next tab. Let's see what is there on the next tab. And this is the REST API reference itself. So these are nice, but more advanced, more when you are ready to get your hands dirty. You go into this API reference, and here is where you can see what is the data that you will get, even with different things. If you are using curl or Python or JavaScript or C, or C or Go, you will get examples very, very good when you are ready to jump into this. So first the map and then this. Very nice. Thanks. Jochen, move to the next tab, perhaps. So this is Enterprise Manager, right? Let's log in. As I told you, very nice product because you can group multiple VBRs, not other products, but VBRs at least. And then you get this summary, backup servers, 3 jobs, 1 machine, 1 file share, the image data, file data. This dashboard is very, very nice. Good overview. And that's the overview that I like to take it and send it somewhere else, right? Which is what I've been doing for some time. So how to get this data out of the Enterprise Manager? Remember, they had an API, right? It has an API. So let's go to the other tab that you have open, which is the Enterprise Manager API port and everything. You can see this is absolutely, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, very, very 90s, right? It's just links. It's no Swagger, no anything. It's very raw to consume, but let's give it a try. So 9398 web API, you need to go under the almost the latest link, which says Session Manager version latest. So the last link, actually.
This one?
Good. Yes, that one, please. So it expands this iframe at the bottom, which says method post to authenticate. Click submit. I think because we click submit, please. I think because we are we have already logged in on the Enterprise Manager into the other browser tab. Is we have not needed to introduce user and password. It's just reading it from the other browser tab. And now we are in the Enterprise Manager API, right? So everything that you see here called href, they are endpoints. So let's scroll until the ones that they say entity or the summary, for example. Let's try to find the summary. Perhaps you can use Control F or just scroll until we see summary. Let's take a look. Summary. Come on. Oh, this is the report summary. Oh, you just pass it. It's a bit more on the top. Or use Control F and put summary. It's up to you. Summary. There you go. Just click on that endpoint, please.
Okay.
Yeah, it needs to be a Swagger, but it is not. And then click on the summary overview, for example. That's just the first one. And there you go. Can you see backup servers 1, proxy servers 2, report servers 1, running jobs 1, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we have a few other endpoints, but this data, it is already here. It is already here, and it's very, very nice. Meaning Enterprise Manager, it can give us a lot of information in a nice way. Once we have peeled the onion, the skin, that is a bit, a bit protecting what is the good thing inside, which is all of this data. So Enterprise Manager is very cool. It has a lot of data. Can you open the other tab? What do we have here for the REST API? What's the next one? So the next one, it might be the REST API reference for Enterprise Manager, right? Yes. We do not have a map for Enterprise Manager yet, the API, but we have this information here, which is going to help you to understand. For example, click on the jobs one, Jochen, here, REST API reference jobs, for example. And then, yeah, you can see expand the jobs one in this section, jobs, the first link, for example. And it's going to tell you examples about, okay, if you call this API, this endpoint called API jobs, this is the information that you will get in XML. But again, I think we are in 2023, so I don't really mind much about getting things in XML. I do prefer them in JSON. And all of this data, you can get it into JSON as you have seen it. It's just a small checkbox on the Enterprise Manager, which it says JSON mode, and it gives you JSON instead of XML. So that is Enterprise Manager. How are we going, Jochen, so far on your API adventure? How do you feel for now?
The Swagger UI is nice. The Enterprise Manager, no.
Yeah, the API Enterprise Manager, it's very rich, but perhaps needs a lift, a bit of cleaning with the Swagger. Okay, perhaps we can move to the next browser tab, because this is already us,
Grafana.
community, right? Yes, please. So we have something called Veeam Hub. When I say we, is all of us, even you on the call, because perhaps you have already either used the Veeam Hub or even contributing to Veeam Hub. So Veeam Hub is just a GitHub part that we all upload whatever projects we might have. It might be PowerShells, it might be scripts, it might be anything that we like. I've been uploading here lots of Grafana things. So for Enterprise Manager, BBs for Cloud, BB365, you name it, right? Many of them. And in this case, if you want to get your hands dirty, and if you have Grafana already, you can just go here, download the Veeam Enterprise Manager.sh, which is a Linux script. And then on that Linux script, you just need to edit a few things before you send data to InfluxDB. So that is that is one of the things that you can do. I think, can you open Putty, Jochen, please, Putty? The Putty there at the bottom. Maybe they're open. Oh, there's somebody saying that there is Swagger there. Well, yes, share with me the link. I never found the Swagger. It's not documented anywhere, I don't think. So are you sure that is for Enterprise Manager and not BBR? Well, anyways, well, please share the URL and I will log in right after the call. But I don't think even on the documentation it says Explore Enterprise Manager with Swagger. I will be surprised and happily surprised. Can you click here perhaps into just do like nano? Jochen, inside the putty, please put nano space and then just put Veeam and then click tabulate. It should autocomplete. There you go. Just enter. And then you just need to move, with the key arrows or something. You see that this is the script. We downloaded the script into a Linux server. We have put our InfluxDB database with the username and the token to put the data there. We're not going to discuss about that today. And for the Enterprise Manager part, we need to put the user and password, which is administrator and the password, and the server. Can the password be encrypted? Jochen asked me the other day when he was investigating by himself some of these topics, and I told him that yes, everything that when you use scripts like in Bazel script or PowerShell or any other scripts that you might be using, you always have the option to encrypt the passwords. It's just an extra steps that you need to take. They are not related to Veeam. They are more related to the technology itself. So in PowerShell, you can use secrets that are stored even on your SSL certificates. In Bazel script is something similar. You can create your password as an encrypted with an SSL as well, and then when you're trying to run the script, it asks for the password to decrypt the encrypted password file, and then it read it and so on. So yes, the answer is yes. I keep it simple as it can be. Just adding your username and password over there anyways, right? So I think, can you press Control X, Jochen, here? Control X, so we go out of nano. And now can you put the dot, and then the slash Veeam Enterprise Manager, so we run it. We execute it. There you go. Run the script. That's very nice. The script is running, and the script, it is collecting sessions, which I have a lot because I'm running the file share. File share is running every 30 minutes, right? So it should be, it needs to write a lot of data. And we're sending this data to InfluxDB, which is very nice. Do you like to move to InfluxDB perhaps, Jochen, now? Conscious of time? Very nice. So we are going to touch InfluxDB very quick because this is what we're using to store the data, but we're not going to stop here much. Click sign in. So we see that we have taken the API data and we moving it somewhere else. Can you, the VM overview VMs, that's fine. What you have selected here, click submit, please. Over here, just submit on the bottom on the right. Yeah, it's giving us some data. Maybe you can change from graph to table on the top left, for each says Data Explorer graph. No. It just says graph. Under customize is a big button on the left, and it says graph. Just change to table so we can see what's the data that we get in here as a table. Yeah, simple table. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we just get data, right? With a few columns here. The screen is a bit small, so we cannot see more, but you see what I mean. That's very nice. So now finally, for the two final parts, can you click into a script editor, Jochen? Script editor here. Do you mind to take this query here? Just select everything and then Control C. And then, or copy. I don't know if the Control C works. Yeah, copy. Can we go to the Grafana tab, please, that we have on the other tab. And here, it's a button there with a compass that it says explore on the left. It's a compass there. There you go. Yeah, explore. Can you paste this query that you had from InfluxDB and click run query, the big blue button on the top right? Have you clicked it?
I think so.
And there you go. Well, we have data. It's just 1 point there, but it's giving us, well, it's a few more. It's just but we see that we have data already about restore points. I can see incremental backup point size. Yeah, it has a lot of data here, which is very nice. So we have taken things that they were on Veeam database exposed through the API, take it out from there and saving it to wherever we wanted, this case InfluxDB. And we weren't happy with that, which it was cool enough, but we weren't happy. We wanted more. So now into the Grafana, we run the query towards that InfluxDB database, and we can see data here. So from here on, it's just up to your imagination. It's just running queries and then making it more beautiful. But as I mentioned, we have Veeam Hub with a lot of work that I put onto the Grafana dashboards, but the other people that they've been contributing with other things for monitoring, even improving the dashboards that I made. So can you go into the last tab, Jochen, so we can grab the Grafana dashboard ID. Yeah. So you can see that this is under the official grafana.com dashboards, and this is the enterprise manager, but there's so many. You can see the ID here, right? So with this ID, you don't need to download anything. It's kind of like a marketplace of dashboards what Grafana has. And now you can go back to your Grafana on-prem that you have on your small VM, Jochen, and now you can go into, I think, the big 4 squares that they are on the left. It's kind of like a browse or dashboards on the menu on the left, please, under the star.
Yeah.
Under the star. Yeah, under dashboards. The icon that is on top of the compass, please. Yeah, there you go. And you can click import. Dashboards import or new. Now you can click on new there on the blue button. It should say import. That's it. Yes, import. And then under the import, you can just put that ID. That's it. You don't need to download anything. That's the ID. Then click load. And what it's asking you is, hey, I have this dashboard, which is published by Jorge. It's updated on 27th of January. That's nice. Can you please tell me the InfluxDB? Where is where I need to look? And then you can just select under the InfluxDB. It's kind of the last option. And then scroll. If you have multiple databases, you just point to your one, and then just click there. And then click import, please, Jochen, the last blue button. And with the work that I've done over the years, what it does is completely agnostic. I built this on my lab. It looks completely different because I have more VMs, more repositories, object storage, blah, blah, blah. But I just use variables for all of these queries. So if you import it on your environment, it will look as what you have on your enterprise manager. You will see it here. That's the beauty of all of these kind of open source tools, right? That you can just share the dashboards with other people, and that will just be that will just work. So yeah, just keep scrolling. So we see what is here is the same information that it was there. CPU and RAM for the VBR. That's very nice to see. Disk usage, network usage as well. That's kind of some metrics from the VBR itself. And then if we keep scrolling, Jochen, we will see the status of the job. So we have the QNAP file job, which is a success. Then we have this Grafana Linux server, which is a success. A replica is fail. So that's very clear. It's red, it's big. I like this when you have more than 2 or 6 or 10 or 20 because they become squares, right? So you can see like a very nice tile panel and you can clearly see the failed ones because it's like, imagine you have 100 VMs or more. You have like 100 green dots or green squares, and then suddenly is one red. You will quickly go to the red ones to see what's happening, and it's just VMs, files, or anything. So scroll a bit more, and it's going to tell you what is the VM that is failing. So that's before they are policies and after they are workloads themselves. So in this case, you can see that I have 2 VMs or 2 workloads that are protected in success, but then I have one workload which is failing, which is this replicated Nginx. And if you keep scrolling, Jochen, you will see this job duration, and you can see all these mini dots. That is, if you mouse over, it will tell you the job name. That's my file backup job running every 30 minutes, and because it's incremental, it's just taking around 50 seconds. I don't have that much data. I have data that is changing, but not that many data. But you can see how it looks like in terms of this is a time duration. And that's the beauty.
Mhm.
If you don't like any of this and you prefer other views and you don't like bubbles, you prefer columns, you can just go into the job duration and then edit it and say, hey, I don't want bubbles, I prefer columns, and change that because Grafana allows you to change all of that. And yeah, that is for the NAS. And if you scroll a bit more, that's the other one will be VMs and this all together, because you can see the NAS jobs at the bottom is taking seconds, but there are a few jobs that they took there more than 10 hours. And I think with this, Jochen, I mean, you were from not having anything to run few APIs, Swagger, Enterprise Manager, InfluxDB, and finally your Grafana dashboard. Tell us your experience. Tell us what you think.
For me, it was really helpful to get the really basics, to get an information out of the REST API. This was my big problem. You find a lot of information and documentation, but
the login itself.
The first steps are almost always missing. So I hope with this webinar we could show how to start.
Yes, that's the most important thing. Yes, as you have seen on the slides, I just dedicated a single slide per product with the port where you need to go, because if not, you need to find every single one on the help center, right? To the port that you need to go, and the usual API calls. But yes, I agree that the first login, the first time you will do the login in your life, it can be a bit problematic with that bearer. Why do I need to put the bearer there? What's the access token? Why I cannot put my user and password and that's it? And so on. So hopefully with the basics that we run today, the first slides, and Jochen steps, hopefully we have clarified that for the audience. Maurice, Jim, you have been there, seeing Jochen journey through the APIs. What do you think?
Yeah,
Great.
from
Thank
zero
you
to
guys
hero.
for this. Yeah, Johan, I feel like, you've just volunteered yourself for a blog series to fill in the missing information, or maybe some videos. Thank you so much for doing this, guys. This has been wonderful.
Yeah.
There is a question in the chat right now from Jeff. Are you going to do anything with Kasten, Jorge?
Two answers for that. The first one, you're talking about Grafana. Yes, that's on my to do because they are already exposing a lot of information. I think they have Prometheus exporters already themselves, so they're a bit more ahead of the game. They might have APIs already exposed, perhaps not public, but the beautiful dashboard that they have already on the product. That's based on is reading data as well. So yeah, the answer is yes. And the second answer to that is in terms of Veeam One, the idea is to add it as well into Veeam One. So you can just get your data of Kasten into Veeam One at some point as well. Yes. Yeah, within some releases. So yeah, the answer is yes. within time. But the way custom has a Grafana already by themselves, a bit more basic, to be honest, because it just has some numbers, so it does not have pies or time series or anything. I think it's a room for improvement there, but they released that with the idea that everyone expanded, right? So, hey guys, this is the basics. Please build on top of that. So yeah, I'll take a look and I will expand what the product already has, which is very cool. Yes.
Unfortunately,
Nice.
Jim has already left us. He had a work thing going on.
Yes.
But other than that, yeah, I think, guys, it's amazing that that you guys did this, and I think by the lack of questions, I think you guys did a great job and give some great explanations.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, nothing to say. Just thank you for organizing this. It was a good experience because Jochen was very new into the API, and it was very good to explain to him the basics. So hopefully others kind of do it in public, so others could benefit from this learning journey kind of in public. So if you have questions, please let us know, or in the community, right? They can always go to our community and we
The
can keep
automation
engaging
desk.
there. Automation desk, yes.
I will explore some more, and perhaps we will have some follow-up webinars.
Perfect.
For people wanting to have the slides and information, we will share the slides together with the video and all the links that Jochen had on his screen in a blog post over at the Veeam Automation Desk on the Veeam Community Hub. Once the video is uploaded to YouTube and so forth. If that's everything, I guess, I want to thank everybody for joining us and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.